On earth and mercy mild.
Continuing here. Yeah, so basically, just to sum up that last thought, was that we want to be zealous for God's will to be established on earth, okay? Because that's what's coming. And that's what we need to ready people for. And we need to love our enemies. We have to assume that they're just deceived, that they're not a deceiver. Otherwise, we won't be able to contend with them. We can't handle it. It's just too, for the righteous, it's just too disdainful to actually believe somebody's too far gone, okay? We have to assume that they're salvageable, okay? Otherwise, you wouldn't reach a olive leaf out to them, okay? You wouldn't try to be reconciled to them. You wouldn't try to be conciliatory. You would see them as an enemy. Jesus had to make this very clear because there was a time when, like, the disciples asked him, they were under the impression, even knowing the Bible, to that date, in 2,000 years ago, the Bible was still existed, the Old Testament at least, but they were under the impression that you should love your neighbor, love your friends, but hate those that hate you. Okay, this was whatever they came away with. So Jesus had to make it very clear, okay, that no, no, no. You are to love your enemy, okay, and here's the logic, okay, that you already know those that, love you, that's easy. It's no credit to you to love them back, okay? But if you love those that hate you without a cause, that's really beautiful. That's very humble, and that's very, that shows a heart filled with humility. That's really God's friend that's trying to save to the uttermost. Because, you see, if you can actually save him, it's just like something very valuable. It's like deep sea diving, maybe, for a precious pearl. And at different levels, the ocean floor can vary in levels, but you got to go really, really deep to get that fine pearl that's worth a lot. Well, that's the way God sees those that are really wicked and really appear to be, too far gone. His mind is so above ours, okay, that's the point here. That we have to understand it's that pearl that's rotting at the bottom of the sea. That's the one that's really valuable to God. That's the one he wants us to go out and salvage. To at least reach for, strive to, as best as we can. So it kind of clears the air around the whole idea, who can we be friends with and who can't we? Because, they accused Jesus. In fact, I just read that recently about how, this is they call him a drunkard, a glutton, friend of tax collectors and all this crap. And it's like, this is what John, it was in reference to John the Baptist. So this is what John the Baptist had to say about Jesus. I mean, his sandals are not worthy to bend down and untie his sandals. I mean, Jesus Christ is who he says he is. Okay, basically that's it. If you believe that, you believe powerful stuff, man. You believe his teachings. And that you believe, look, if I'm misunderstanding this teaching, I need to go to the Father for a complete understanding. Because it's there. It's not hidden from me. We cannot emulate, mimic, imitate him unless we know him, okay, the way he is. Not the way we are, because we're pathetic, we're feeble, we're weak, okay, and we all fall at times. God never does. He's always perfect, and he never does anything bad. So nothing bad originated from him. If he had his way, everything would be good all the time. Okay, perfect for everybody, and we've got to get that through to other people, and we've got to be friends to our enemies. I mean, it's tough, but that's the cross we all have to bear. And when you say you see the light, when you really see the light, then you will willingly bear your weight, share the weight of carrying the cross for God and humanity. Okay, that's it. And it's just carrying this truth and just walking around and saying, look, I can't yield. I can't compromise the truth, the whole truth. I want to profit the maximum I can. I want maximum reward wherever I'm going from here. And even to this day, right here and now, it brings me gladness of heart to know I'm on the right side of history, to being God's friend, devoted friend, and a friend to humanity, wanting the best, not for some people, but for all people. That if I had it my way and you had it your way, it'd be God's way. And how would it be? Can we operate? Can we function when it's God's way? When everybody is free, not partially free, somewhat free, selectively free, but entirely free, absolutely free. That means you must be born into a world not beholden to the money masters of misery taxing you with this cost to survive, the cost to exist, the cost of living. Okay? They're not doing nothing for us, folks, okay? The power, the ability to print money is no big deal, okay? What if you had it? What if I had it? You understand? There's a lot of people out there I would trust with that. But the people that are running things now, I don't. Okay, I think of all the guests Alex Jones has on his show with all the real ones. I mean, look, even guys maybe like Robert Kiyosaki, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm always criticizing Rich Dad. But look, I can't condemn him. I can't condemn. I'm not judging to that degree. I mean, yes, I'm being discriminating and discerning. That's what judging is. We all do it. Let's just be honest. Okay, we all do that. But I'm just completely freaked out about where people's heads are at and how this crony capitalism, which is crapitalism, which is essentially fascism, which is anti-capitalistic, anti-supply, free market supply and demand economics, it's the opposite. And it's the best method, and I know for a fact it's the best method to create mad dog, rabid communists, okay? Duh. That's what they're doing here. They want us irreconcilably divided. So fundamentally, if we can get that, we can get a lot. They don't want us to get along with each other. They don't want us to understand basic fundamental economic principles like supply and demand and progress as it relates to social, economic, political progress. Okay, they don't want you to figure out that a low cost of living brings a higher standard of living, and that's a good thing, not bad. Like the human caused weather change people will tell you, right? It's bad. Okay, we can't have everybody out there driving cars and heating and cooling their houses. So we're going to discriminate. We're elitists. We live by a double standard. We're hypocrites, yes. But it's for the greater good, right? Not of humanity, of course, but to save the planet. You understand? For them. God, they're sick and they're evil, man. They're all so freaking evil. God help them. Their fruits are rotten. They stink to high heaven. Okay, I admit that. Okay, and this is, Jesus said this himself. That's where that teaching comes from, is that you'll know a tree by its fruit. And yes, their fruits are rotten. I'll go that far. And I'll go as far as to say it's very difficult to love somebody that hates you without a cause, that you believe is just wicked and evil, and they're over the edge. They've committed blasphemy, so they're unpardonable, they're unforgivable, they're on their way to hell, and their God is Satan, and they're devoted, and they're going down swinging with Satan, their master. Okay, you can believe what you want, but you understand that's still a cross to bear for all of us, our attitude, our spirit toward everybody. And so I'm not against anybody. I'm no man's enemy. That's the person I choose to be, and you can choose to be that person. Okay, I mean, people can hate you. They're gonna. And what did Jesus say? That men insult you and call you all kinds of derogatory names without a cause. He says, consider yourself blessed, because this is what they did to the prophets throughout the ages. This is the establishmentarian mentality. That's what they do. That's what these people do. They hate you because they want the authority. They want the power. They don't want you to have it. They don't want me to have it. They don't want the regular Joe to have it. No, they don't want you to be empowered. It's just like the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, this is the break off. The Protestant Reformation and movement came about. I mean, they were killing people. You couldn't have a Bible. I mean, if all these anti-establishmentarians of today, okay, that think Trump is establishmentarian, okay, that don't understand, they're in utter ignorance and confusion about this. If they understand how radical the Bible is, and how the Roman Catholic Church wielding its power, and you want to hate religion, okay, and not the people. I know a lot of Catholics, the best people you could ever meet. Let's be very clear about that. It's not the people, it's the religion, okay? It's the religion. It's this authority, this pseudo-authority. So our founding fathers, okay, the founding authors of America, were very clear about this, and they were very smart to make sure there was a separation between church and state. You don't want a theocracy. You don't want religion dictating, and that's why you had the breakaway with the Protestant movement, the Protestants, the original protesters, because the word is, it stems from that, Protestant, a breakaway, because they were killing people. You weren't allowed. It was by decree of the Pope, right? You weren't allowed to have a Bible, to have that knowledge. Okay, that was to be kept private and secret from them so they could hold it over you. They knew stuff you didn't know, that you didn't really know, that God was a holy, good God, holy with a W and holy with an H, and that he wanted the best for you, and you didn't need to go to them for anything. You could just go in your closet and pray and have a commune and have a relationship with your owner, your creator, God Almighty. They didn't want you to know that. So I understand all this stuff, why people have their resistance toward the Bible. But if you understood how empowering it is, that knowledge, and get you out of confusion about why things are as they are, okay, the fall of man, this is something that people need to know. My God, the secular people of this world need to know this. They have rejected religion out of hand, not even understanding what we've been through, the Protestants have been through. If you've got to they've got to be educated. We've all got to just, latch on to something really important, near and dear to our hearts, that we're serving God and man in the best possible way we can as individuals. But for me, that's one of the most glaring, examples of where people are ignorant and confused, is not understanding. Look, it's not God's fault that we have wars. God doesn't want this. It's not his fault that we have a national debt. It's not his fault that we have a social welfare industry. It's not his fault that we have the crime that we have that's induced by financial desperation. Okay? It's not his fault. It's not his fault that we have diseases. It's not his fault that we have deadly accidents and natural disasters, and we have punishing heat and bitter cold and stinging insects and miserable predation and predator and prey paradigm. Okay, it's not his desire or will that we have any of the problems we have in this world. Anything bad is not his fault. It comes from the original sin, the fall of man, this knowledge of good and evil, where Satan, where this power was usurped. He hijacked it through that, by tricking us through this deceit. Don't ask me all the intricate details. Only God knows. But science can tell you this much. It's in our DNA, okay, that we have these inclinations, these propensities, okay, and a psychologist, a psychiatrist can tell you these same things. It's like the Apostle Paul. He calling himself the chief sinner, for example. He said, all those things that I try so hard not to do, I want he was explaining he wants the spirit to soar. He wanted to grow in spirit and never wanted to be weak and fall and fallible. Okay, but he found himself doing those things all the more. So the harder he determined that, he was hell-bent and wanted to be self-disciplined and just go with God and just, focus, just say, I'm all spiritual man, deny the flesh, everything. But he found himself pulled into it. Okay, and this is an intriguing facet of our personality, but it's true that somehow we've got to get comfortable with this thing we call sin. Okay, and we shouldn't accept it. We shouldn't take it lightly. Okay, we should fight against it. We should work toward being sound-minded and sound of the flesh and everything. Okay, I agree with that. Some say that the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. I don't know. Okay, but it's also called a body of death, and it's written to have no faith in the flesh. Okay, so it's one of those things where it's almost every man for himself here. It gets to be a sticky wicket. It gets to be, you've got to tread lightly. It's thin ice kind of thing, where I don't know. I can't sit here and say I have all the wisdom and I know just how you ought to look at this thing. Okay, but I'm not excusing sin any more than Jesus did. Okay, because you don't want to be a sinner. If you're a sinner, it's like saying, oh yeah, I want to tie an anchor around my neck and be pulled down, when I was really happy without that anchor around my neck, but I need to sin so that, I come down, But this is what we do when we find a need to escape from our so-called reality, our truly an unreality that's been inflicted on us from birth. And all of us, our teachers, our peers, our parents, everybody that's living in the world is screwed up to some degree. You cannot not be. You can't. It's impossible. It's so sick and twisted. Everything, fundamentally, the entire paradigm is just tainted with madness of every form and type. And all these jobs that, this guy is so important, and there's rhyme and reason, it all makes sense. I mean, this is why he gets paid so much. And then you go, my God, that's not even true. I mean, if you really looked into it, let's take all the best football players out there in the NFL, right? And all the best baseball players and all the best basketball players and on and on and on in that theme. All the best athletes. And you really found out, you dug a little deeper and you started finding out, and you started being like a spotter, they call them. So you go out and you meet everyday people and you start to put them to the test, and you find, wait a minute, there's all these other people that are way better than those that they say are the best, but yet we're hiring these clowns to do the job because these are the guys that applied for the job. You understand? And then they get these contracts worth these multi-millions of dollars. All these rappers, all these actors, all the comedians out there, all these people get these jobs that pay all these multi-millions of dollars, and you think, oh, well, they must be super, important jobs, right? But they're not. In the scheme of things, they're really not. I'm not saying I don't value. I'm not saying that, hey, well, what are you saying? You're trying to take away from these people. You're a detractor. You're a naysayer. Hey, these comedians are important. I need to laugh. Laughter is the best medicine.